Now for the sport, I'm Gary Al Smith. And following the presentation of the sports minister in Parliament of the AFCON 2019 budget, there's been a lot of talk in the public sphere about the figures he gave. We at the Joy Sports team are also looking at the discussions, and based on feedback from the general public and also anecdotal information that we have, the team has put together 10 questions for the sports minister as follow-ups for the discussion, and that is what we'll be sharing with you in our first story. Here you can see the full details on my joyonline.com's sports page. So the first thing is that budgets by definition are presented before expenses are made. We want to know why Parliament did not demand this be done by the Sports Ministry before the African Cup of Nations. Secondly, Joy Sports understands that the AFCON expenditure was taken from outside the Sports Ministry's budgetary allocation for the year. So we want to know what the source of the money for the budget was. Thirdly, we do know that the Confederation of African Football, as organizers of the AFCON, caters to the needs of each team's players and technical team, numbering 40 individuals during the tournament. We want to know from the ministry how many technical team members Ghana presented to CAF. Fourth, Ghana won just a game at the tournament against Guinea-Bissau, but as we know, the country paid winning bonuses of over $965,000 for players. Does it mean then that each player got about $42,000, as can be evidenced from simple calculation? 5. Ghana has a culture of paying the Black Stars appearance fees before tournaments. We want to know if this happened again, and if so, how much was paid as appearance fees at this tournament to the Black Stars players? 6. In 2017, the Black Stars were convinced to take a $5,000 winning bonus, and this was something that was led by the sports minister, Honorable Esiama himself. Why couldn't we do the same this time? 7. Who constitutes the additional technical staff as read in the minister's budget? And why are their per diems, why are their winning bonus payments separate from the line item called technical staff? We would like to know that. 8. The Confederation of African Football gave each participation nation $260,000 for preparation. Why was that amount not factored into the minister's presentation to Parliament? 9. We do know that the entire sports ministry's budget for 2019 is currently 43 million Ghana cedis, but the AFCON budget alone was 34 million Ghana cedis, or $6.3 million, which is 79% of the entire sports ministry budget. We want to know how the sports ministry justifies that expense when many other sports also urgently need help. And our final question is that $6.3 million is what was budgeted for 9 categories of people, but the actual breakdown mentioned are those incurred for only the players and technical team. And so for us, we want to know that apart from the players and technical team, what about the other 7 groups of people? How much was spent on them and how many people were spent on? These are our 10 questions for the sports ministry and the government. Moving on to other stories. First, we do know that the breaking news story from this afternoon from the Joy Sports team said that FIFA approved the Normalization Committee statutes. That was one of our lead stories, and hence FIFA has approved the statutes proposed by the Normalization Committee, which clears the way for a new constitution of the Ghana Football Association. We do know also following that the 13th of August is when the Congress will be made for the that's the Ghana Football Association, which will then lead to possibly a date for elections and a date for the exit of the Normalization Committee. In other news, the National Sports Authority, we understand, withdrew swimming and the federation from one of the key games that Ghana will be taking part in. They cited a lack of funds. So, via Skype from South Korea, we spoke to Farida Idris, who is the treasurer of the Ghana Swimming Federation.
Can't tell whether it's from, I know it's not from the Ghana Olympic Committee, although they selected the chef de mission, but everything is centered on government. And so government is represented by the National Sports Authority. And so it was a rumor previously when I really confirmed it from my president, who happened to be present at the meeting when the International Games Committee met all federation heads. It came out that as a result of a lack of funding, swimming has been withdrawn out of the All African Games. I thought that fairly, if we presented 8 names as part of our long list, that was what was given to us. If it's because of lack of funds, it would be fair for them to come back to us and say, okay, fine, as a result of lack of funds, we are decreasing your number. We will understand, because we've been an understanding sporting discipline. We've participated in a lot of championship without a penny, a dime from the government body. And so we would have even understood what exactly was happening. But unfortunately, we've been withdrawn. And I went further to ask, what was the criteria used for the withdrawal of the swimming team from the African Youth Games team to Morocco? What I was told, it was really shocking, but I also laughed, because what I heard from the technical committee was that swimming is not a medal hopeful.
Very interesting story. We are not going to leave this story. We are going to follow it up as well. In international news, Everton are in talks to sign Wilfred Zaha and are set to bid 60 million for the Crystal Palace forward. The Toffees are willing to offer the Eagles a player as part of the deal for the Ivorian, who wants to test himself at a new club after 4.5 years at Palace. Don't forget that Palace themselves finished 4th in the Premier League last season. In the Ryder Cup, the latest is that Adare Manor in Ireland has been confirmed as the host cause for the 2026 tournament. The deal struck between the Irish government and the European tour organizers will bring the biennial tournament between Europe and USA to Limerick. The news comes 4 days after Irishman Shane Lowry won the Open at Portrush. Should be a sight in 2026. That's the sport for now. Hans Mensah will be here for the football show. I'm Gary Al Smith. See you some other time.